This is the appointed time. We have a quorum. So I call to order meeting of the panel on information technology and broadcasting. Item 1 on the agenda. Information papers issued since the last meeting. The Secretariat issued one information paper after the last meeting. Please refer to it at your leisure. Please also note that Mr. Holden CHOW wrote to the panel on the 27th of January requesting that the item of regulating person-to-person marketing calls be added to the agenda. The written response from the administration dated the 10th of February has already been forwarded to members. We will also be discussing the real name registration for SIM cards and the relevant legislative amendment proposal. That's item 3 on the list of outstanding items. So subject to any objection, we will discuss all these matters in one go by then. As indicated by the administration in its written response, the next regular meeting is scheduled for 14th of April, 2:30, 2025. Now, the administration has proposed to discuss one item that's promoting digital inclusion. So, members, if there is no objection, that will be the case. Item 3, work progress update of Cyberport. Let's invite the administration to come in. Members, if you want to speak, please press the button.
好，我哋歡迎咧就係張萬利啦，就副局長咁帶領佢嘅團隊，同埋數碼港嘅行政總裁鄭松南博士咧，今日嚟到呢度咧，就同我哋報告一下數碼港嘅最新嘅發展。咁就我首先請副局長同我哋做一個開場發言，跟住先將個時間交俾鄭總裁，好嘛？
好，主席、各位委員，大家好，好高興出席今日嘅資訊科技及廣播事務委員會會議，同我哋數碼港嘅團隊一齊同大家介紹下數碼港嘅最新工作進展。作為香港數碼科技嘅旗艦機構，數碼港係香港重要嘅創科基建，喺完善創科生態圈方面呢，一直都係不遺餘力，全力配合國家同埋香港嘅科技策略。數碼港嘅數碼科技生態系統多元。
The ecosystem has been developing in the past year. We have been providing various or taking forward various initiatives to groom talents and help startups. We have 2,200 startups in Cyberport, covering $4.2 billion or $42 billion of investment, as well as 9 unicorns. AI is the key technology promulgated by our country and Hong Kong. We need to further promote the development of AI. The first phase facility of Cyberport's AI Supercomputing Center commenced operation in the end of last year. To further drive the development in this area, Cyberport as the core will continue to work with the sector and continue to promote R&D application and industrial development. Cyberport will continue to take forward at full speed the development of AI Supercomputing Center. Meanwhile, the expansion project is also progressing very well. We seek to complete the project by the end of this year so as to provide greater room for development and capacity for the I&T community. In the following, I will invite Dr. Rocky Chan to say more on Cyberport's development, and then we'll be happy to take questions from the floor. All right, Dr. Rocky Chan, the CEO, would you please tell us more about the work of Cyberport? Good afternoon, Chair and members. Let me give you an overview of the latest situation of Cyberport. We have some 2,200 members in our community. 960 of them at the campus and 1,300 plus outside our campus. Some of them are situated in Fanling and other sites in Chunwan, etc. Some years ago, the MOST awarded this title to Cyberport, and that is the incubator. And the minister, Mr. Huang Zhigang, last month also visited Cyberport. The country is happy with the work of Cyberport. So in fact, we have 3 listed companies coming from Cyberport, including GoGoVan, and also the iFlyTech medical large model. It was listed in February. We also have another retail platform similar to the technology currently adopted by YUU. It's actually provided by this tech company. We have 9 unicorns such as Hashkey, Animoca, etc. These are digital entertainment companies. Hashkey, some of them are US listed companies. We also have a Hong Kong company. We also have TNG, WeLab, ZA, etc. These are all Hong Kong-based companies. In terms of developing virtual assets, we also have some related companies such as 8 virtual banks. 2 of them are situated in Cyberport. We also have 3 licensed digital banks and 4 insurers. As of now, Cyberport community has attracted more than $42 billion of investment, excluding the ones listed on Hong Kong Exchange. The amount covers the investment in Cyberport startups. In fact, over the years, we have raised funds at a tune of $25.6 billion in the past 5 years. We also have other investors at the ratio of 1 to 9. These startups also attract private investors. Now, some of these tech companies have won a lot of patents and awards over the years. Now, these are the 2 key positionings of Cyberport, and we will go ahead with these 2 prongs in the coming years. The first one is a digital technology hub. The other is an accelerator of AI technology. So these are the 2 areas of focus. The Cyberport has always been a digital technology hub, and as such, we continue to develop fintech, AI, data analytics, blockchains, etc. As for AI accelerator, we call it accelerator because the Cyberport is now building an ecosystem covering different large models. We want to support the use of AI by different sectors through the provision of tech solutions. Now, in terms of tech clusters in the Cyberport, there are 4 of them: AI, data science, blockchain, and cybersecurity. So through these 4 tech clusters, we support industrial tech development. And these can be applied to different areas such as smart city, fintech, and health tech, etc. So I'm going to further explain the 4 tech clusters to you. On AI and data science, well, I'm going to group these 2 together. These 2 are intertwined after all. So on AI and data science, we have over 300 related enterprises selling a presence here. we are building the biggest AI hub, and that it includes a large language model, etc. And apart from hardware and software, we understand that many enterprises lack the necessary know-how and talent. And they're also concerned about the relevant risks and the sustainability of their business in the long run. And that is why we need to take bolder steps. We work with other R&D institutions, universities, etc. We're going to roll out an AI model that is credible, reliable, and safe. This will involve AI governance and safe security assessment. Now, as you can see, as at the end of December, Cyberport provided 1,300 petaflops of computing power. And we also purchased 3,000 boards. Altogether, there are 1,700 petaflops available. And then by September, October, early October this year, we can boost the supply to another 1,700. That means by October, we'll be able to reach 3,000 petaflops. Comparing to other places, we can call ourselves one of the largest computing centers with government support. At the same time, we provide subsidy to R&D institutions and universities to make use of AI. The subsidy rate is up to 70 to 90%. Under this AI subsidy scheme, we started to receive applications in October last year. And at the same time, we've also established an AI lab. There are several functions. At this lab, we put different chips to trial. We have 3,000 Intel cards, but we are also trying out different other brands in the mainland, because in the case of shortage of supply, we need to be able to procure other chips. And we understand the concerns of tertiary institutions. So at this AI lab, we're going to conduct trials. There are tools in this lab. That is it possible to coordinate the different computing capacities of different brands through this platform? In the coming year, there may not be a substantial increase in demand for computing power. So we are conducting trials at this lab, and that means, say, one NVIDIA card chip may be divided into 10 subsets, or just 1/7 of the chip.
And now come to the second point. We will try out latest technologies in cybersecurity. So this is where you can do proof of concept tests. This AI lab can also work as a place for companies to showcase their R&D outcomes. Say they have products, they want to show people their products. This is where they can do it. Now, firms need to be able to see the tech before they are more comfortable with it. So we hold workshops, we run training programs at this lab. Now, this image is important. This is what we are building. It's an AI ecosystem we're building. At the bottom, there are different chips. So at the Supercomputing Center, we offer chips from NVIDIA. And we're trialing chips from other makers. And then you move up a level, you get the large models. At Cyberport, over the last 6 months, we attracted many companies working on large models. There are large models for finance, healthcare, e-commerce, various large models specialized in different areas. The way they work is that different industries if they wish to build their own large model, or say a business wants their own large model, by using the large model here, they can save time and costs. Then we have iFlyTech, and also from a project backed by the CAS and also from Tsinghua University, we have different businesses here. We also have firms from Singapore and the US at Singapore, at Cyberport. Most firms are from the mainland. Those firms use the models from the second last level here, such as Ernie Bot. So these are ready-made solutions. Firms come here, and here we have ready-made solutions for them, and there are unicorns here valued at more than $1 billion US. With these large models, firms can make videos quickly, and those videos come in different languages as well. Now, the iFlyTech model also provides healthcare data. And different businesses, universities, healthcare institutes can use the data. And then you also get autonomous driving and other forms of regulatory supervisory technology. For anti-money laundering, for example, you can use AI. There's computing power, there are large models, there are platforms, but the usage remains limited. Financial institutions want to use the AI, they want to use the tech, but the actual application remains very limited. That means we have so much room for further expansion in usage. Traditional talent knows little about AI, they're not savvy about the chips out there. And it will take time before our workers know how to incorporate AI into their work processes. So we have these aggregators. We need aggregators who know the industries and know the IT systems so that they can help people adopt AI. Now, AI governance also matters. Businesses use AI. They have to ensure that AI is used in a safe way to ensure quality outcomes. When a model goes wrong, the business has to be able to continue. The business has to be able to deliver all this way. So we do risk governance, risk assessment, and testing. Now we looked at international standards, we considered mainland standards. Now we have to localize the standards before adopting them so that we can hopefully roll out standards for the industry to follow in the future. Now, blockchain. We have more than 280 firms in blockchain and Web3 technology, firms from the mainland and overseas. Now, for blockchain and Web3, Cyberport is home to many overseas firms specializing in these areas. HKMA is running a sandbox called Ensemble for tokenized assets. And for this sandbox, the HKMA is working with Cyberport. Now, cybersecurity. We're also building capacity in this area. Now, we're working with 26 cybersecurity firms. Each such firm is unique. They're not your conventional cybersecurity firm. These firms use AI to protect cybersecurity. They detect threat with AI tools. And there are tools to detect AI-related risks. You see some firms here. These firms can even do something about copyright violation with open source software because legal liability can arise. So there are firms working on this matter. Some new arrivals among the firms can detect the flow, the traffic of cryptocurrencies, just like banks can monitor the flow of traditional assets. So here, cybersecurity is a highlight for Cyberport. We run drills and training programs with the government and different stakeholders. So this is where we can make contributions and we can bring in new technologies. So training programs promoting AI safety standards are also our work. Now we have covered the 4 clusters. Let's approach the matter through a different dimension. Let's look at smart living. The technology supports different industries. There's prop tech, property tech, health tech, gerund tech, ed tech, various kinds of technologies. There are more than 850 smart living tech firms at Cyberport. Fintech is another strength of Cyberport. Now we have more than 440 such fintech firms. It's the largest cluster of fintech firms in Asia. And these fintech firms cover the proof of concept validation for green and sustainable fintech. Recently, we have brought in AI for these areas. So the HKMA is working with Cyberport, and we're working on a sandbox for generative AI. The point is to let banks pilot the different models. They try out generative AI, they find out the limitations and risks with Gen AI. For fintech, we also created Sandbox 3.1 for the HKMA, and this is about CBDC and commercial data interchange, as well as information retrieval and searching for accounts. Cyberport also works with the Hang Seng Index. So the data come from the Hang Seng Index, and then we look at the data. We find ways to make good use of the data from the Hang Seng Index. The HSI is a huge trove of data after all. Now, Cyberport's ecosystem. Our core competency lies in our tech solutions. And our solutions come from 2 things. 1, tech startups through our incubator programs, and 2, the tech firms we bring in. So on this slide, you see the incubation programs that we provide a $100,000 seed fund. We admit roughly 100 cases each year. Each year we got 600 to 800 applications. Now we do the selection through the help of industry experts. They form selection panels. And those tech firms or teams can apply for our incubation program. And this incubation program comes with a $500,000 funding. If those businesses can go on, they get another $300,000 or $200,000. There will be help for those businesses to keep going and expand. For those completing the whole journey, those firms will get $1.1 million, and they will also have access to the office space. If Cyberport thinks a certain firm has potential, we also have an investment fund. Our investment fund is $400 million. We have spent $190 million. Again, we stick to the 1:9 ratio as we invest in those promising startups. Now, during the incubation, success will have much to do with the support. So we have 4 networks. 1, the business network. So we help those tech startups get in touch with the industry. So we have industry experts, specialists to give advice. We also have an investors network. So every year we do matching sessions for startups to find the money. And then we also have the tech network and support network. So different forms of support are available during those startups' operation. Cyberport serves as a bridge. So we bring firms in, we help firms go global. So you look at names like Microsoft, Cisco, HP, FedEx, Ricoh. These are leading firms in technology from overseas. We also have leading tech firms from the mainland. 70% of the firms are local, 20% from the mainland, 10% from overseas. As for our overseas expansion, in Asia, we have South Korea, Vietnam, Japan, Australia, in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, Israel, the UK, Spain, the US. Now we can help in 3 ways at Cyberport. 1, reaching out to industry for tech startups or tech firms. There's only that much the government can offer in funding. That money is gone in no time. But matching those firms with the industry can make a difference, because businesses will also want to invest. So we can help commercialize the R&D outcomes by hooking up these tech startups with businesses. We also link up local and overseas capital. We can also help mainland firms go global, and we also help overseas firms tap the mainland market. So that's for Cyberport. Last but not least, I also want to cover our Phase 5 expansion. I want to show you a clip.
Well, we expect to obtain the occupation permit for Phase 5 of Cyberport expansion, and then in early October we will be able to complete the construction and hand over this project back to Cyberport. 500,000 square meters of office space will be supplied together with retail outlets. Thank you, Dr. Zhang. We do look forward to its completion so that we can all pay a visit. The floor is now open. We have 14 members who have indicated their wish to speak. We're supposed to adjourn this meeting at 5:30, so I'm afraid we have to extend this meeting. Professor Chow Man-kong, Dennis Leung, Duncan Chiu, Lam Chen Sing, Peter Shou, Hon Holden CHOW, Chen Sil-hong, Ms. Yong Ha-yan, Dr. Lo Wai-kwok, Mr. Tony Chair, Professor William Wong, Mr. Chen Fung, and myself. Professor Chow Man-kong will kick off. I will give each member 3 minutes question and answer included, please. Now, AI is a hot button issue around the world, especially in our country. We discussed why DeepSeek is developed in Hangzhou but not in Guangdong. Is it because of the business environment, service efficiency, proactiveness of reaching out to the enterprises? I want to know whether Cyberport can make a greater effort so that we can overtake Hangzhou and attract more enterprises to come to Hong Kong. The second point is about the financial situation of the Cyberport. Over the past 5 years, you've incurred close to over $200 million of losses. In 2022-23, you narrowed the gap to just $12 million, so that's some progress. I want to know how you can diversify your income stream so as to support your development in a more robust manner. My last point is that in 2022-23, the Finance Committee approved a funding application for a scheme, $500 million of digital transformation support pilot scheme program to support food and beverage and retail sectors, and later on cover tourism and personal services sectors as well. But I understand that they account for less than 40% of all sectors. Can you further expand the coverage to benefit more SMEs? Nowadays, as we all know, it is a must for SMEs to upgrade and transform themselves digitally. So my question is on Cyberport's effort to promote SMEs' competitiveness. I'll take this question first. In fact, AI development is happening so rapidly in Hangzhou, be it DeepSeek or other forms of generative AI. Now, we need all the ducks aligned. What's important is that we will focus on building an ecosystem. In this ecosystem, opportunities will be given to startups to thrive, leveraging on our computing power and talents and all the models available. So this is our focus. AI is developing very rapidly, and in fact, we have talents abound in the mainland, and they do enjoy an edge. They have lots of talents coming from universities. So Cyberport has been building this ecosystem, and in the past year, as a result, we have been able to attract close to 120 enterprises on AI and data science. On our fiscal position in the past 3 years, as we all know, we managed to narrow the gap of losses from $600 million to $12 million. Now, it had to do with the overall economic environment and the low occupancy rate of our hotel. But Cyberport at the same time carries a public mission. In the past year, we invested $170 million to incubate different tech firms to help us realize this mission. I believe that we'll be able to break even in the coming year. For digital transformation support pilot scheme, DTSPP, we will expedite the vetting process, and we would like to enhance or expand coverage in the future. Now, the businesses in food and beverage and retail sectors weren't very good. The response was just lukewarm, and later on, district councillors reached out to more users in the community, and that helped. We also improved our internal vetting procedures. I believe that will be able to further expedite the process. Next, Mr. Dennis Lau. The 14th five-year plan will come to an end very soon, and then the 15th five-year plan will begin. We also have the IT development blueprint in Hong Kong. I hope the government will explain the role played by Cyberport in this area by then. And we also face global competition on different fronts such as AI, quantum computing, different areas. So is it possible for Cyberport to attract the top-notch research talents to come to Hong Kong so as to develop these frontier technologies? The third point is that the government promotes research industry, academic collaborations. So what about the role of Cyberport? Is there anything that the Cyberport is doing? Is there a fund, a core fund to attract potential enterprises to help drive industrial development and improve the economy? Undersecretary, thank you for the questions. These are all related. Now, about Cyberport's positioning, as set out very clearly, the Cyberport is moving abreast with the times. The positioning is one of digital tech hub. This is also in line with digital economy. That's a global trend. As for tech innovation, industrial innovation, we leverage on different technologies to help us with industrial upgrade and transformation. The other forefront technologies, AI, it drives another round of tech revolution. So I'd say that Cyberport is now focusing on AI. As for the future positioning, it will definitely be a digital tech hub and AI hub. As mentioned by the CEO in the past year, in terms of AI and digital technology, Cyberport has attracted 120 enterprises, and over 350 enterprises have formed a cluster here. Many of them are top-notch ones, such as Baidu, iFlyTech, healthcare, as well as enterprises focusing on large models, such as the 6 top-notch enterprises in the mainland. We are in the process of negotiating with them. We also have the AI Supercomputing Center, the AI Lab in Cyberport. Apart from hardware, we also have government policy initiatives. All these can be leveraged to attract more high-level research personnel and enterprises to set up presence in Hong Kong. So responding to the third question of the member, we focus on collaboration among industry, academia, research and investment, and government. And apart from making an effort, we also focus on leveraging on social capital so as to support the strategic and emerging and future industries. Cyberport sets up its own fund at the ratio of 1 to 9. They are able to drive private investment. At the same time, we also have the $10 billion R&T industry-oriented fund. We also have a $1.5 billion fund, and we believe through these mechanisms we'll be able to attract VCPE funds from all around the world to come to Hong Kong. They can check out what projects are available in Hong Kong, and they can also help bring in more enterprises to set a presence here. So we'll continue to make an effort in this regard, and we'll continue to work with the Science Park and Cyberport in attracting quality enterprises to set a presence here. Next, Mr. Duncan Chiu. Well, I'm happy to learn about the progress of Cyberport Phase 5 expansion. I was also responsible for approving this expansion project. I'm happy to learn today from the CEO that they'll be able to complete the construction in time. Now back to AI. As far as the tech sector is concerned, AI will be the most important technology in the coming 1 or 2 decades. It is important that we harness AI to enhance our competitive edge. You talk about different AI solutions, including $3 billion AI subsidy scheme. But what's more important, after all, is talent. And I need to say it 3 times. Like Rocky said, if we compare ourselves to Hangzhou, we need to consider how we can do more in terms of training talents or nurturing talents on AI and enhancing collaboration with universities in this regard. The other point is attracting young people to join us. Now we should take a look at this letter for investors at an early stage by DeepSeek. They also agreed that they were fascinated with overseas prestigious universities, and as a result, they didn't focus enough on attracting national talents. So Hangzhou became a success because it was able to attract many young people to start their career and start their businesses here. So what will Hong Kong do to attract young AI talents? Well, Rocky will make a start in our supplement. Talent is, of course, core to development of AI in Hong Kong. We are ready, hardware and software speaking. We have 5 top 100 universities in Hong Kong. But when it comes to AI talents, we experience a shortage in 2 areas. One is tech talents, and that means it's for universities to put their heads together and consider stepping up efforts to groom talents. The second is talents for applying the AI technology. In order to boost the development of AI, we need the support from the community and enterprises so that AI technology can be applied. Cyberport will also enhance training. We will hold more talks and seminars, and we'll also reach out to different enterprises and help train talents. We are at the moment collecting some use cases in terms of the large models and printed circuit boards, and we're also organizing training programs for secondary and primary schools. In fact, we'll put together a kit for grooming young talents at the secondary and primary level. For universities in Hong Kong, we need to take flexible approaches so that we can be able to groom talents in a more expeditious manner.
Undersecretary, a quick comment. Aside from what Dr. Chang was said, we want the industry here to gather talent. We need a place where the talent can shine, and that's why people want to come here. So we are working to create this tech cluster. We want to bring in firms, we want to bring in talent, and then with the infrastructure and policy support, everything can come together and make a difference. We're also working with schools and businesses. We hold conferences for young people to shine, and we will work on talent. Mr. Lam Chun-sing, thank you. I want to follow up on a point about Cyberport's finances from Professor Chow Kong. So 5 years in a row, Cyberport has been in the red. Now we're shrinking the deficit compared to before. We are at $180 million in reserves. In 2029, you have to start repaying. Every year you have to repay $100 million for 10 years in a row. And you have so many projects going on, such as the Phase 5 expansion. So the question is this financial model sustainable? Will Cyberport make greater use of technology to achieve savings? Is there a goal by cutting expenses by 2%, like what the government is doing? Now I turn to paragraph 19 of the paper. Trade fair, recruitment, career fairs. Many people took part, employers and employees, 8,000 applications received. So I want to find out were the cases, applications from people who came here under the Top Talent Pass scheme. Did those people land the job in the end? I know Hong Kong Talent Engage is also attracting talent, and then there is employment support, but those services are generic. Now, for people from a tech background who are here under the Top Talent Pass scheme, so can Cyberport do more and do more matching? Say, talk to tech firms, talk to the talent, and have better matching, instead of just holding a career fair and not following up. So I'm wondering if Cyberport can take a more targeted approach to this matter. Dr. Rocky Chan. For our finances, we are indeed considering boosting revenue and cutting spending, and that includes many measures. Say, for savings, we put our own staff on events, they organize events, they work as MCs. So every bit of saving counts, and they add up. On boosting revenue, there are things we're considering. We hold different events. Cyberport works with the industry. When an event is popular, the industry is happy to support through sponsorships. So we take this multi-pronged approach. Within Cyberport, we also have key performance indicators for different lines, different business lines. So those divisions have to meet the goals in terms of achieving a certain level of savings or bringing in a certain amount of revenue. We have 170 workers. That's not a large organization. We have many new initiatives in the pipeline. We will make good use of the 170 people. We use digital technology to boost efficiency so that we don't need to hire so many extra people. Recruitment, career fairs. Those career fairs were for tech firms, tech startups. Those tech startups struggle to hire. Tech firms also set up stalls at the career fair. Job seekers may not be aware which firms were hiring people, so we set up the career fair. We have been holding career fairs for a number of years. This year, the theme was specifically on AI because that's where the industry was really short of people. We want to create this atmosphere, and then we can have greater success in matching job seekers with the jobs. And we want young people to see that there are bright prospects for AI. Now, for the Top Talent Pass scheme, for many new arrivals, meaning those tech firms, those owners and founders came here under the TTPS. They told us that they came here under the Top Talent Pass scheme. And they were also thinking about sending their own staff from the mainland to Hong Kong, and they were here under the TTPS. The speaker is now coming through. Mr. Peter Xu. So Cyberport is a hub for going digital, and it's also working on AI. This is the wave of the future. We also have the science park. And then different universities are also working on AI. They're trying to step up their work. So will there be overlapping between Cyberport's effort and that of the science park and other universities? How can Cyberport work with our science park and universities? Now, for Phase 5 expansion of Cyberport, Dr. Chang told us about the retail floor space. I want to learn more about that. Dr. Rocky Chen. We work with universities all universities have approached Cyberport. They need our tech solutions, our computing power, and our talent, meaning the talent and our tech firms. We also need the talent from universities. And there are many projects run by universities. So we have this reciprocal relationship. We want those projects to come here at Cyberport. On standards, we also work with universities. For Science Park, we also work with them. And for material science, health, or biomedicine, Science Park focuses on those areas. If a firm needs larger space, we can advise a firm to go to Science Park. There may be some overlapping, but that is limited. Retail floor space in the Phase 5 expansion. So for the entire site, it's 660,000 square feet. For usable office floor space, it's at 500,000 square feet. From that, 100,000 will be for data centers and supercomputing centers. So you are left with 400,000 square feet, roughly 380,000 square feet for office space, and for retail, 60,000 square feet. So what do that space for? Restaurants, other shops. To draw people to Cyberport, you have to bear in mind those people need food and shops and other things. You know better than I do what our retail space is like now. To get customers to visit Cyberport for the retail, it will be hard. So please rethink what you would do with the retail floor space. Mr. Chen Kim-po. Cyberport plays a key role in different areas of tech. Startups, incubation. Throughout the process, Cyberport plays a key role. Dr. Chang made a good point. Different industries want to use AI, but they're short of talent. They're short of people who know how to make use of the AI. So my question is, will you train your own talent or will you team up with universities? So with those 1-year programs, 6-month programs, how do we move fast on that? Now, the expansion, I want to make a declaration. I've been serving as a chairman of the Owners Committee of Bel Air for 9 years. Local residents of Bel Air are concerned about the park. There are 10,000 people living in Bel Air. And then there are other people around the area. Many people visit the park. So, can Cyberport tell the local residents about the latest situation about the project? Say for the facade, and people worry about the glare. You're facing east, and if you have the glare and in the morning, the entire Pokfu land will be affected by the glare. So there are fine details about these. Local residents are concerned. So can we set up a briefing, something like that, with the CEO and address local residents' concerns? Dr. Cheng. I thank Mr. Chen for his questions. We take those matters of priority matters. First, we have to address how we can let firms make use of the tech, and that's what we're working on. We have to promote the AI tech to the industry. Firms wonder whether they should buy the chips, how they should use it. So we want use cases. We also have this aggregator. We want to have an ecosystem. We want to spot a couple of industry leaders for each industry. Once you have success stories in each sector, other players in the industry follow suit. And then we also have the Cyberport Academy. That's for training. We want to step up the work here. We want more programs to train people. We want shorter-term programs than university programs. The focus of our programs will be on application, applied knowledge. And as for expansion phase 5, there are a few things in our plans. We will be working with the Southern District councillors and also people from Bel Air. On what we will build, there's a playground, etc., and then about the plans for a low altitude fly zone. We have to take into account local residents' concerns. So we will be gauging the views of local residents. We want to find out what they're concerned about. The park is huge. There must be a way to make everything work. So we will get in touch with the Southern District councillors and the local residents, not just from Bel Air, but also from the other housing estates from that area. We will reach out to them. We will reach out to you. So I extend the meeting by 15 minutes. Mr. Holden CHOW. Thank you, Madam Chair. I welcome the many efforts of Cyberport. I support all these efforts because they matter for Hong Kong's future. I have just one question, and that is the AI Supercomputing Center. We support the commitment of resources to the work. I'm looking at the paper. Starting from last October, applications opened. 9 applications have been approved. Eligible applicants cover the 5 publicly funded research bodies, meaning ASTRI, LCSM, APAS, etc. For those 5 research bodies, they cost $400 to $500 million in funding every year. But LegCo members wonder, they question the cost effectiveness of those research bodies. I know the government is working on this. We need more tangible results to justify the annual funding. But it turns out those 5 bodies can also access the AI Supercomputing Center. So here's what I think. Now, I have no idea whether those bodies have applied or whether they have plans to apply, but since we're asking the government to urge those 5 research outfits to show us tangible results to justify the funding, they are using a lot of public money. If those 5 research outfits use the AISC, we should approach that with caution. They are already costing so much public money, and then they use the AISC again. They're costing money. We're putting $3 billion into the AISC. The AISC will be open to different parties, and then the subsidy will be up to 70% of the operating expenses. It's great if we see results. We will welcome that, but the cake is only that big. Shouldn't we reserve the resources for organizations that can truly achieve results? That's my thought. And for the CEO, can he tell us, now since we have 9 applications already granted, do we have a goal for next year? Say, how many firms do we aim to attract next year? This matters for our future AI and tech development. Let's make the most of our resources. Don't let the resources go to the less than promising institutes. We have said this many times over. Those 5 research outfits have already cost so much public money.
Under Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chow. Let me take the first question and then the CEO can supplement. Now, I fully agree with the member that the AISC is such an important piece of infrastructure. We want to be able to help the local R&D sector, education institutions and enterprises. We need to optimize the use of resources These are valuable resources. That is why we also allow government departments to tap into our computing power as well. But what is important, meanwhile, is that we need to uphold the double dip principle, and that is we want to avoid double benefits. They should not be getting funding support from elsewhere and from us at the same time. Now, you talked about the different R&D centers that are public funded. I understand that some of them, such as ASTRI, does proactively reach out to the sector for collaboration opportunities. So I'd like to reassure members that we have a vetting committee or vetting panel overseen by professionals. They will consider the technology of the proposals, the elements of AI, as well as the contribution to Hong Kong's development in the future before awarding scores. At the same time, we are taking forward institutional reforms and adjustments. We are deepening reforms in line with the technological developments. So we have 3 zones, 5 R&D centers as our layouts of R&D development. We have the Loop, Science Park, and Cyberport. These are the 3 parks. For the 5 R&D centers or research institutes, APAS now comes under Productivity Council, and ASTRI will also combine with NAMI. We also have other initiatives, as mentioned in this year's policy address, that we are going to set up a research institute for AI, another for microelectronics, and for life and health tech. Again, we have another funding program. So we are adjusting our development layout to dovetail with the international and the national trend. So definitely, like the member said, we are going to also adjust our resource allocation in support of the development. Well, Mr. Chow just now mentioned whether the computing capacity or computing power has been optimally used. This is exactly our focus. Now, we have some assessment criteria in the vetting process. For example, whether this proposal will bring real benefits to our society, whether they will bring benefits to, say, enterprises or end users. And we also consider how innovative the proposal is. The other criterion is the chance of success. We also consider another thing, and that is whether it's ready to be used, whether it's currently adopted by the project teams. So we make sure that these criteria are fully considered. The vetting panel will consider whether to approve the application and how much funding will be approved. We also have regular checks to see whether they are honoring their promise. Next, Mr. Chan Siu-Hong. Thank you, Chair. Undersecretary Zhang and CEO Dr. Chang just briefed us on the progress of Cyberport in terms of digital tech, AI, data science, blockchain technology, and enhancing the R&D ecosystem for startups in Cyberport. I'd say that they have done an impressive job. I acknowledge their efforts. So congratulations. My fellow members are also concerned about financial viability, as mentioned in paragraph 13. As mentioned in paragraph 23, the operating loss before depreciation was around $12 million, but in fact, it was originally $244 million relating to public mission activities. Deducting government subsidy of some $111 million, that means an expenditure to a tune of $175 million, and that accounts for the operating loss. Now Cyberport has disposable reserve of about $180 million. So from the books, we can see that you will be in need of money very soon. And in terms of outgoing expenses, you have the AI subsidy scheme, $2.3 billion, and then a smart living funding support scheme, that's $265 million. Another relating to fintech, $500 million. So, this is about digital transformation support pilot program. So, how are the books balanced? How do you find new sources of income so as to balance the books? Another point I'd like to ask is a startup fund. And in 2017 and 2021, $200 million were injected into the fund on 2 occasions. But now, taking the fair value accounting approach, I see that the outstanding balance is just a small sum. Well, the third point is that Cyberport operates a sandbox that oversees a low-altitude economy. Just now, Dr. Chang didn't seem to mention anything about low-altitude economy. But in fact, low-altitude economy involves AI as well. So can you tell us more about, say, supercomputing, infrastructure, telecommunications, and the future investment in this regard? Well, about the first 2 questions, I will give the floor to Ms. Cheryl Chow, Deputy Secretary, and then the CEO can take the third question. Thank you. In the past few years, the government has provided significant public funding support to Cyberport in a number of major initiatives. Now, they serve 2 main purposes. The first one is to support the overall development of I&T in Hong Kong. As Undersecretary mentioned, AI is one of the key areas to support industrial development as well. So we provide major funding support under the AI subsidy scheme. And at the same time, we have another initiative relating to smart living incubation program for smart living startups, as well as digital transformation support program for SMEs. The second purpose is to support Cyberport in fulfilling the public mission. Now, through providing funding support, we achieve different objectives. For example, for the $3 billion AI subsidy scheme, the majority of resources will be trickled down to users. The point is that we are subsidizing users in using the service, and this will provide us an income stream for Cyberport. As for the incubation program for smart living startups and digital transformation support for SMEs, Cyberport is the executor of these programs. That means expenses will be made out for Cyberport to recruit staff to take these 2 initiatives forward. We may not be directly injecting funds into the Cyberport, but we support Cyberport in such a way to keep it afloat in a sustainable manner, financially speaking, so as to fulfill public mission and fulfill policy objectives. Dr. Chang. Cyberport is the core I&T flagship facility in Hong Kong, and we continue to carry out public mission for hotel and office space leasing. We'll continue to work on them. Is the mic on? we are confident that in the coming financial year we will be able to at least achieve break even in terms of the leasing rate. At the moment, it's 76% occupancy rate for office space. This will go up to 80, and also for retail, it will go up from 65% to 75%. At the same time, we also have funds to support startups and other enterprises. We place emphasis on quality rather than quantity. We do the gatekeeping properly. We make sure that the projects are viable, and if those who do not meet our criteria will be phased out. We also have marketing course for our staff. We believe that we need to upskill our staff, and our staff are happy to join us. In fact, recently, we also enlisted our staff to be masters of ceremonies of different events. They are happy to acquire new skills as well. We also hold forums and provide training. By doing so, we hope to coop in some income as well. For low altitude economy, we are working on two fronts. One is infrastructure. We need, say, telecommunications infrastructure. In fact, we've been approached by companies. In terms of our Phase 5 expansion project, they'd like to be able to use the infrastructure as well. We will also reach out to different enterprises, and I thank the EL Tank and the enterprise for lining up potential investors. In fact, we have some 72 applicants in line for our sandbox. I need to extend this meeting further by 15 minutes. Mr. Tony J. Thank you. I'd like to invite the administration to elucidate the following. Paragraph 3. Starting from 2010, the Cyberport community has attracted more than $42 billion of investment. And then, as at December 2024, over $1.5 billion of funding was raised by Cyberport startups in 2024-25. Well, are they referring to the same investment after all? Does it mean that the performance declined in 2024-25? Because the average over the years does seem to be more than this amount. The next question relates to paragraph 18A. It is said that 85% of the incubatees remain in business. My question is whether data is available to help me understand the nature of these businesses, whether the incubatees would eventually grow to become small or even medium-sized enterprises, so that we don't have incubatees remaining at the same scale forever. As for Cyberport Phase 5 expansion, like Dr. Chang said, the project will be completed in September this year. So my question is, what tenants will be attracted to set up presence here? Are they SMEs, or are they startups, or are they top-notch or key enterprises? Because with 700,000 square feet of floor area, we're concerned about the leasing rate. What will the work focus be? Because we're concerned about the financial viability of Cyberport in the long term.
Who will take the question, please? The member asked about the $42 billion figure. That's the cumulative figure. So, starting from 2010, the Cyberport community managed to attract more than $42 billion of investment. And then last year, for 2024 to 25, the firms raised more than $1.5 billion. And the year before, when you compare that figure, $1.5 billion, with the year before, there was a 15% growth. And that happened even in such economic context. And that points to the strength and recognition of firms at Cyberport. But the average is $2.8 billion per year. You leave aside other forms of growth, and last year there was only $1.5 billion. I find it unconvincing, given this figure, that you somehow did well last year. Now, for the $1.5 billion, we're only talking about startups. We're leaving out the more mature tech firms. And we're only looking at the local scene. And for Cyberport as a whole, last year, there are more than 9 unicorns, local and non-local, and 2 are now listed. More than 80% of the firms at Cyberport remain in business. For the 9 unicorns, 1 is a new entrant. As for the remaining 8, those went through Cyberport's own incubation program. Those firms went through Cyberport's own incubation programs for years. And then you don't just look at the capital raised. You also look at the industry awards. Last year, there were more than 120 such industry awards. 40% of the awards were from the mainland or overseas. But I think the member made the point that we have to not just grow the community, but also to enhance the ecosystem so that we bring in more tech firms. One focus for Cyberport now is to attract more top-notch leading firms, strategic firms. Last year, we had iFlyTech, Baidu, and other firms. Ricoh, with its headquarters in Japan, also set up its AI lab in Cyberport. So we focus on the entire AI scene. Now the CEO can take the second and third questions. Now, as for Phase 5 expansion, large organizations are in talks with us, universities, large tech firms, and strategic firms. We're also reaching out to firms to get them to come here. We have entered in-depth discussions. Hopefully that will bear fruit. We also want to bring in firms specializing in AI, in the making of art, etc. Now, as for office floor space, 380,000 square feet. Now, the 85% figure. When firms go through incubation, a 2-year program, we look at what happens in the next 3 years. 20% of such firms stay at Cyberport after the 2-year incubation. Some such firms are acquired by other firms. 27 such firms were acquired after the incubation phase, and others decided to discontinue their operation. We look at the firms 3 years after. If those firms remain in business 3 years later, we think that's a good result. We will continue to track the growth of such firms. Those firms may go on to become medium-sized firms or large tech firms. That's something we will be looking at. Madam Chair, I'm looking at Phase 5 expansion. It will take another 6 months before completion. I didn't hear any figure about any agreements with parties, so I'm concerned. I'm worried about the potentially high vacancy rate. And that will hurt the revenue of Cyberport, and then resources will go to waste. So we have to take this more seriously. So you're now just in talks. You only have 6 months left. So if possible, I would like some data. So does Cyberport already have some data? Now we do have some tenants, prospective tenants. They need a huge space. Now we're at a more advanced stage of talks, but we're not sure if those prospective parties want us to disclose their identity. I'm looking at the ratio, say how much of that floor space already sees commitment. Say 50% of it is already covered. Now we're in talks with different parties. For large tech firms, they need approval from their headquarters. So the commitment level is 0%. So if you have something solid, please let us know. Professor William Wong. Thank you, Madam Chair. Some questions. So we already have 9 unicorns. At the 2 sessions this year, the work report mentioned support for unicorns. And also for the emerging, aspiring tech firms, meaning firms that have just made it past their death valley and remain active. Firms with a market value of $300 to $500 million. So for these aspiring firms, how many do we have now? Are there support programs for such firms? Now, I have a question about the supercomputing center. I find that center useful. So I want to ask about the usage. You have universities, research outfits, private organizations. So do we have the respective usage levels among these parties? Do they all qualify for the AI subsidy scheme? Now, I also have a suggestion. I want to declare an interest. I teach at the CUHK. Can we make some changes to the way the AI subsidy scheme work, such that we reserve some slots for universities to access the supercomputing center? Universities can coordinate among themselves. That way, universities don't have to file separate applications every time. And then you can give the subsidy to the universities. You can save time in processing those applications and lead to more effective use of the AISC. CEO, please. So there are firms not quite unicorns, halfway through their journey to becoming unicorns. Cyberport has been reaching out to such promising firms. There are some firms, tech firms, some firms in cybersecurity. So we put quality before quantity. We are proactive in reaching out to them. When a high-value firm comes in, we give them special attention. Now, for the computing power. Now the usage rate is 65%. By the end of May, that level will exceed 90%. Now we are still getting a steady stream of applications. We'll be able to ramp up the usage rate. As for the subsidy scheme, we fully agree with Professor Wong. We have approached universities, including the CUHK. We have been in talks. In fact, we have been in talks with CUHK since the early days. Data science and computer science faculties can create a pool. You can inspire students' thinking by first creating an environment. Universities have indicated an interest. But they're caught up in some internal processes about how to apply for the schemes, and we're also reaching out to universities. So we can keep pushing, and maybe Professor Wong can also help out here. Mr. Chen Hock-fong. Sorry, I will have to stop you for a moment. We have to further extend the meeting by another 15 minutes. The government has committed vast resources to technology and AI, but we have to bear in mind cost effectiveness. Let's look at Cyberport. I first want to find out about how this is working. Now, I have heard that Cyberport relies on rents, events, and grants for its revenue. So Cyberport takes a cut from the grants, like taking a commission. So I wonder, given the vast amount of subsidies to firms, can we get a stake in those firms so Cyberport gets to share part of the profits that those tech firms make? Do we have such a model in place? If those firms succeed, that will bring in more revenue for Cyberport. You have to look at the returns after all. Now, for Phase 5 expansion, there's a big problem, and that's transport links. Cyberport relies heavily on minibuses and buses. No other mass transit options. There are plans for a green mass transit system, I believe. Now, things aren't finalized yet, but I guess that system will cover Cyberport. Have we set aside an area for such a mass transit system? Many people are in that area, and then you have Phase 5 already under construction, but the mass transit system has yet to be put in place. So what do you do about the transport? Local residents of Cyberport complained to me about access to transport. Dr. Rocky Chang. Now, on taking a stake in those tech startups, we have been thinking about that, and we're in talks about that. Once we find something that works, if it's feasible, we will report to the board about this. We have brought up this option. Say we give subsidies to startup firms, we offer incubation, and then maybe we can take a stake, or we can do options. We can explore this possibility. The survival rate of startups isn't particularly high. Now, we don't want to miss those promising firms after all. Now, transport. Now, we have capacity for 5,000 trips, but the saturation point is 3,000 trips. So the transport will still be able to cope once Phase 5 is done. As for the mass transit system, we're still waiting for the government's final plan on where the infrastructure will be. Cyberport is close to several housing estates. I don't have information on where the transport infrastructure will be. We're still trying to find out. Undersecretary. The member's question is about Phase 5 in general. We need to get the transport linkage right. Without proper transport links, you cannot draw people to Phase 5. The capacity used to be 1,800 people. Now it's at 5,000 people. And there are shuttle buses offering connection with 19 locations across Hong Kong. But that's something we do have to bear in mind for Phase 5. And there will be a smart green mass transit system for that area. Now, from what we have learned from the TLB, the Southern Island Line will be covered. And for the preliminary alignment, Cyberport, Wong Chuk Hang Station, and Hong Kong U Station will be covered. And the member also brought up the rental arrangement for Phase 5. As the CEO said, we want an ecosystem. We want quality and quantity. We need more than numbers. We need anchor tenants. We're in talks. The talks are sensitive, so we cannot disclose too much at this stage. But what we can say is that we want an ecosystem. And for Phase 5 expansion, some leading firms have expressed an interest. Disclosing too much at this stage would be too sensitive, and we may end up deterring those businesses. Once we have anything to disclose, we will announce them as appropriate.
Mr. Tang Fei. Well, in fact, I have two questions. Cyberport, as an organization, as an enterprise, must ensure its commercial viability. We've gone through the books. We are aware of the financial position. Now, Dr. Chang, as CEO, is a veteran. He has vast experience, so I'm not concerned about balancing the books. But Cyberport also carries a major mission. It's not just a business organization. There is an objective of setting up Cyberport. For a long time, people have an impression that Cyberport is nothing but a property development project. Now, coming back to the paper, paragraph 12 refers to Digital Transformation Support Pilot Program. $500 million were allocated to Cyberport in 2023 to provide support to SMEs. Now, I think this is the most important program because otherwise, Cyberport is nothing but a developer that provides space for offices and shops. And it's just akin to a property development project. You should focus on this mission, and that is helping SMEs, startups, well, not so much startups, but SMEs upgrade and transform digitally. This makes Cyberport stand out from Cyberport, or does it? Because the Productivity Council also carries a similar mission. So my question is not so much for Cyberport, but for the government. We have organizations carrying similar public missions. Can you address the issue? Now, Cyberport is very far away. As we always focus on the north-south dual engine with emphasis on I&T development at the northern part. So how should we position Cyberport since it's at the southern tip? With all these overlapping organizations, how do we promote digital transformation among enterprises in Hong Kong? We need to clarify the division of work. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Tang. I thank Mr. Tang for raising this very important point. Each organization you mentioned carries a strategic positioning in terms of supporting the I&T development blueprint in Hong Kong. And the positioning for Cyberport is very clear. In fact, one focuses on a digital technology hub, the other is an accelerator of AI. We have 4 tech clusters with a view of promoting digital technology. Say we have AI, blockchain technology, cybersecurity, etc. Cyberport focuses on digital technology development. At the same time, there is also a digital technology hub in Laofao-Shan, a spin-off campus of Cyberport, so that in the future an AI cluster or hub can be built. For Science Park, it's situated in the middle of Hong Kong. It focuses on deep technology as well as new materials, biotech, and emerging industries. So this is about R&D of these new technologies. The next facility is the Hong Kong Park at the Loop. And it's very clear that we're given this mission that the Hong Kong Park will be a core or the engine to drive in growth in the Greater Bay Area and to develop Hong Kong into an international R&D center, so that we can build a world-class collaborating platform for the academia, research and development, and the industries to build a very important pilot testing base with competitiveness. As for the Loop, we also have 300 hectares in Santin. This can help take forward pilot testing as well as large-scale manufacturing, and that Hong Kong will have the potential to become a very important hub for R&D development and development of emerging technologies. So we have very clear positionings in terms of the Loop and Santin Technopole in the northern Hong Kong. We also have Cyberport on the southern side that focuses on digital technology and AI, together with the site in Laofao-Shan. Now, Mr. Tang also mentioned digital transformation. This is also a key task for Cyberport. Apart from grooming startups to promote digital economy, we also focus on helping SMEs in the digital transformation process to enhance productivity. Now, Cyberport takes the lead in this regard. The Productivity Council carries a similar mission, but it's different because the Hong Kong PC focuses on advanced manufacturing. For Cyberport, under the DTSPP, we focus on personal care, tourism, retail, education. Cyberport leverages on the existing tech network and the enterprises in the Cyberport so that some tech-ready solutions can be provided to these enterprises. Right, it's my turn. Finally, I'm sorry we have to extend the meeting by 3 more minutes. Other members already expressed appreciation of the work of Cyberport in terms of enhancing the R&D ecosystem, especially in areas such as AI, fintech, blockchain, Web 3.0. Cyberport is a hub for enterprises as well as talents. The Phase 5 expansion of Cyberport will be ready in due course, together with other projects in the northern metropolis. We do hold high hopes. Members just expressed concerns about the use of floor area. I think the Cyberport will need to make a greater effort, and there is much more potential. And the Cyberport should be more proactive in working with the government. And in fact, in other cities nearby, a lot of efforts are made to reach out to potential or top-notch enterprises or enterprises with potential. We need to do the same so that they can set up presence here. Well, in the past, we were always short of space. Now that we have space, we should be more proactive in reaching out to them and attracting them to come over here. Now, I'm concerned about low-altitude economy in Hong Kong. Cyberport provides a major sandbox in this area, and many enterprises are interested. In the mainland, there are several 10,000 enterprises developing low-altitude economy-related technologies. And of scale, we have at least several dozen such enterprises in the sector. I hope that you can reach out to them more proactively, because even as members, even members of the sectors reach out very actively to these enterprises as well. So I do hope that as long as a joint effort is made between Cyberport and the government, we should be able to get ahead. Now, in terms of development of low-altitude economy, I think some mainland and overseas enterprises are not aware of our determination to develop low-altitude economy. They always hear about developments in the Greater Bay Area instead. That means our government should work harder so as to tell enterprises overseas and in the mainland that there is room for growth in Hong Kong and that we can be an excellent demonstration zone, and there are collaboration opportunities. I hope that you will step up publicity in this regard. Now, Secretary, when it comes to low-altitude economy and industrial development, there is a lot of potential. For the universities, apart from running MA courses or master's courses, I understand that they also focus on R&D. So apart from attracting enterprises to come to Hong Kong, the Cyberport should play a stronger role in, for example, liaising with the sector and tertiary institutions so as to attract enterprises to set up presence in Hong Kong and take the R&D further. You should not just focus on attracting them to come here. You should also help them upgrade and transform themselves. Now, another role that Cyberport plays is helping SMEs undergo digital transformation, apart from using AI. Now, CEO just now said that many enterprises are not fully aware of how they should harness AI in their business processes. AI, digital transformation, low-altitude economy, all these could help enterprises upgrade and transform. So please do more to help these enterprises, introduce more technologies to help them upgrade and transform. Any response from the Secretary and the CEO?
CEO, we very much agree with Madam Chair on the 3 points. Yes, we will work on leading firms and strategic firms. We will proactively reach out to those firms we have in mind. Now, there are dozens of leading firms in the low-altitude economy. In fact, some such firms have approached us. And we're also trying to get in touch with the larger players. Now, we are working industry by industry. We want to do this. That's because going digital and going smart are some space where firms are short of talent. They want to do this, but it takes too long to make a decision for them. So we have to do it industry by industry, and that will require vast resources. So in the future, we will get these aggregators, we will leverage their strength. So we organize this process. And for each industry, we want a couple of success stories. And then the other industry players in that sector will follow suit. So that's something we have in mind. And we're also working with large firms. Hong Kong is different from the mainland. In the mainland, it's top-down. A large firm does something and it works out, the smaller players follow suit. But in Hong Kong, it's the other way around. We do it bottom up. We try something out at a lower level, one step at a time. And when you're short of talent here, firms hesitate because they're not sure whether they will get support. So we're trying to forge an alliance involving large players, and that will strengthen the resolve of the larger players. So we're trying to line things up. Undersecretary, anything to add? First of all, I thank Madam Chair for your support for our work in Cyberport and our efforts in tech. Now, I agree with you on the point about going on the offensive. That's why the Chief Executive has been saying we have to attract firms and talent, and we focus on the economy. We go on the offensive. Low altitude economy and other areas, the government and Cyberport proactively reach out to promising firms, and we will step up the work. On the low altitude economy, it's a space with enormous potential in Hong Kong. Cyberport has favorable conditions. It has the information technology and communications tech. It has great location. Cyberport is also trying to bring in more such firms. We bring in different players, research, academia, industry, as we drive the low altitude economy. We can forge alliances of different stakeholders and work on this together. And we took this opportunity today to brief members on Cyberport's work. And we hope members will support Cyberport so that we can work through Cyberport to build Hong Kong into an INT center. Thank you. Next item, any other business? There being no other business, I adjourn the meeting here. Thank you.